Welcome to the Confidence Tea Podcast, where we brew up inspiration, self-discovery, and a sprinkle of empowerment, all over a cup of tea. Please welcome your host, Virginie Madiston. Virginie is a passionate advocate for personal growth and wellness, blending the art of tea with the journey of confidence. With a background in psychology, theology, and coaching, she believes every sip of tea can lead to a transformed mind, edified soul, and activated confidence. So get ready to steep yourself in uplifting conversations, insightful stories, and practical wisdom. Without further ado, here's your host of the Confidence Tea Podcast, Virginie Madiston.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Confidence Tea. I'm your host, Gigi, and I am so excited that you could join me tonight, where we get to have a conversation that is transforming your mind, edifying your soul, and activating your confidence. So let me know where you're tuning in from. We always like for this to be a conversation amongst girlfriends. And tonight, we're going to have some amazing conversations. I have a very special guest here tonight. Miss LaKena Horhn is in the house. And we are going to be talking about, girl, get up and live. And so this is exciting. And we're thrilled that you are here, that you're joining us. So go ahead, grab your favorite cup of tea, and let's get ready to go on this journey together. Before we get started, I want to take a moment just to tell you about our Sip and Celebrate event hosted by Gigi Inc., which is the organization that I founded 8 years ago. And our aim is to help girls to ignite confidence so that they can go out and be the superstars that they were created to be. And so we are having this event November the 30th. It's going to take place at the Boca Dunes Golf and Country Club in Boca Raton, Florida. And we're going to be celebrating. It's been 8 years of us mentoring girls in the community. We've done some amazing things. So you'll hear from some of the girls that we've mentored in the past. Some of our scholarship recipients will be present. They'll be able to tell you what they did with some of that scholarship money, and they'll be able to tell you what they're up to now. So that's very exciting. I'm excited just to hear from them and have them share their experience and how being a part of Gigi Inc. Has made a difference in their lives. And so it's going to be amazing. We have tea, obviously. It is a sip and celebrate event. So we have all of our favorite brands of tea, and you guys get to try them all, and you can grab your tickets. So tickets are $55. And if you want a VIP ticket, which comes with a box of tea, that ticket is $75. If you're not able to come to the event, but you still want to sponsor us, or you still want to show us that we are doing a great job, go ahead and you can make a donation. So you can visit our website, gginc.org. And I will also add the link for the tickets in this video. So I hope to see you there. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be awesome. We have some amazing performers that are going to grace the stage, and it's going to be a fun time. If you've never been to a Gigi Inc. event, I would definitely encourage you to let this one be it, because we have a great time. And so I am looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. If you want to be a guest on the Confidence Tea podcast, feel free to reach out to me. I am available on all social media platforms. And so get in touch with me. Hit me up in the DMs. You can also send us an email at confidenceteainfusions@gmail.com. And that is how you can let us know that you would like to be a guest. And we would love to have you. Again, this is a place where this is a safe place where we get to have a conversation, just us girls. And I encourage you to connect with me. I'm always looking forward to connecting with more people and hearing your amazing stories, hearing the thing about the wonderful things that you are doing as a woman in your community. And so this is a platform just for that. So I'm super, super excited to partner with you and to hear your story. So don't be a stranger. Let me know what you guys are up to. Let me know if there's anything we can do to make the process a little bit easier for you. So without holding you up any longer, I want to introduce you to our next guest. I'm very excited that she is here. Miss LaKena Horhn is a faith-driven entrepreneur and educator dedicated to empowering midlife Christian women to overcome setbacks and embrace their God-given potential. With a diverse background in education, theology, and marketing, LaKena combines her expertise to create impactful programs like Girl, Get Up and Live, which is our conversation for tonight. And in this she helps women to find their strength, purpose, and community. She's very passionate about helping women rebuild confidence, discover their purpose in midlife, and walk boldly in their identity in Christ. LaKena's work is a blend of inspiration and actionable steps guiding women toward living abundantly and authentically, which is what we are about. So, confidence tea lovers, please give it up and let's welcome Miss LaKena Horhn.
It is so good to be here with you. And first, I want to celebrate you on 8 years of Gigi Inc. Congratulations, as one who has run a nonprofit for many years. I know it's not always the easiest, and sometimes we don't always get the accolades that we deserve. So I salute you, my sister.
Oh, thank you so much. That feels so good to hear somebody else say that. It is not easy work. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But to God be the glory. It's definitely been, and I always tell people it's a calling. It's not, I can't do it, but I wake up and that passion burns inside of me. And there's something about, whenever I do something and I connect with a new young lady, there's just something so powerful, so amazing, no job that I've done, and I've done a lot of different things, but nothing brings me more gratitude than when I do something for those young ladies. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I read, and I'm like reading your bio and I'm like, oh my God, theology, a woman after my own heart. It's rare that I meet people that have a diverse background like me and that has a little bit of this and a little bit of that, because that's kind of how I am. I always tell people, I joke and I say I got more degrees than a thermometer. Okay. Like I've been here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, that's awesome.
I
And
always say it's the many pieces of LaKena. I said, which one needs to show up today, Lord? Is it the educator side? But it is, when I look at it, God has all made it all blend and work together. So I understand.
And it's blending for me too, because, when I was younger, I really struggled with finding my place. Like some people know, okay, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. And they go and they hit that one path. But for me, it was like, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do that. So I did a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And now that I'm a lot older, I see how literally everything works together. Like the scripture that says it all works together for the good. And I'm like, this is great. Like I didn't know what this past experience or this past educational knowledge is now blending into what I'm doing now and what, my purpose and my calling is. So that's amazing. That is awesome.
It is.
Yes. So I'm excited to talk about Girl, Get Up and Live. Like, tell us in your own words, like, what is that? What's that all about? What is Girl, Get Up and Live?
So really, Girl, Get Up and Live it's a community. It really started as a community, and it started because I can give a little bit of my own how it started. But for years, so I'm an elementary school teacher, an elementary school principal, and have ran a nonprofit in Ghana for over 15 years. And it just was always coming back to, there was this calling to really help women who, mostly the mothers of some of the girls that I was working with or some of my students, and just seeing that how we often wear the mom hat or we wear the wife hat. And somewhere in there, especially when my two olders were going off to college, I'm like, who am I now that I'm not having to show up in the same energy as being a full-time mom? They don't need me to cook anymore. They don't need me to do all these things. Who am I, Lord? And so it really that's what started this. And so I had another a women's community where we're just really building and pouring into and really understanding that we're stronger together. And then about 5 years ago, after being 25 years married, I find myself going through a divorce.
Oh, wow.
And it just really, I kept saying, if I don't find my way out of this, if I sit in this too long, I can understand how I'm going to miss what I consider. I said, God always saves the best for last. My greater is coming. My greater is going to be in my latter. If I don't get out of this funk, in this place where I am, I'm going to miss what God has for me in this second half of life.
Yeah.
And more women that I was encountering were either feeling that way after divorce, or very just like they felt like life had hit them. They had hit a brick wall. And I realized that we really needed to, or it was not me, but I felt like we weren't speaking enough to these women to say, just because your kids are gone, or, your marriage didn't work out, or, you've gone through this hardship in life, doesn't mean your life is over. It doesn't mean that you have nothing left to experience, to contribute. God still has great purpose in you. So that's really how Girl Get Up and Live is. I didn't want us as 40-plus-year-old women to just say, oh, we can go sit out and drink. No, nothing about your tea. I want you to drink your tea, but we still have work to do. We have lives to pour into, but we also need to live our own life. So that's how this all started.
Absolutely. And I'm all about living. Like, that title just spoke to me because, a lot of times, even as you're saying it, like, even for me, and I'm a single woman, and, I'm 25 plus shipping and handling.
I understand.
We'll say. And sometimes people feel like because you're single, like there's so many things that, oh no, wait till you're married to do that. And, don't travel because, and I'm like, and I remember, and for a long time, I struggled with that. I was like, oh, well, I don't want to go here because I'm supposed to share that with my husband. And I remember one time my pastor said the funniest thing to me. He said, girl, what if you get married and this man don't even have a passport and he don't want to go nowhere. So now you stuck in the house and you didn't get to go, he's like, live your life. And I said, you know what, Pastor, you are so right.
Absolutely.
So I started traveling and, I've been to Africa. I've been to just different places around the world because I'm like, why not? Like, like I can't sit back and just wait for whoever's coming. I'm not saying he's not coming, but I want to live. And
Absolutely.
I think and that's full circle. That's, women from all generations and walks of life, like get up and let's live.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And as women, we go through difficult periods. Can you tell us about a time when you felt like, you were going through a difficult season or a difficult time, and how did you get up and live? How were you able to do that?
Absolutely. So I think I'll just stick with, since I've shared about the divorce, after being married for so long, and we were a military family, so we had lived all over the United States, we had lived internationally, and then to, see, like, I have poured what I felt like, I've poured everything into this marriage, but really in the moment, I was like, it just felt like my whole world was falling apart, and I had to, there are stages of grief, and, you have to go through the stages of grief, and you come to realization. And I just really had to, it was a choice. I had a choice to say, because I wasn't going to change the fact that my marriage was ending, but I had a choice in how I was going to, the next season of my life, what it was going to look like. Was I going to stay bitter, or was I going to get better? Was I going to stay sad, or was I going to use this experience as a stepping stone to say, okay, now I can redesign, or, design my life the way I want it to be. And so during that time, I had an amazing coach who walked me through this whole divorce process. And she started asking me, I was like, oh, I don't like to do that, or I don't like this, and I don't like that. And she finally one day she says, LaKena, how do you know you don't like all these things? And I said, well, for the last 25 something years, I've never done that. And she was like, you're not the same woman you were when you got married, those 25, 26 years ago. How do you know if you don't like it unless you try?
Mm-hmm.
And so she started giving me these assignments, and like, you know, I call them in my community faith in motion. Like, you know, if your faith needs to be in motion. If you're believing for something, are you moving in that direction? Is your faith moving in that direction? So she started giving me these challenges, like, you know, I want you to go do this. Then you can tell me that you don't like it once you've tried. So when I did that, I just realized all these things that I loved that I let go of in the midst of being mom and, you know,
wife,
not all the things, all the hats that I had been wearing over those, you know, traveling and picking up and moving every, you know, 3 to 5 years. I needed to rediscover the gifts that God had placed inside of me outside of those things.
Wow.
And so during that time, just really being in community with women and allowing them. And one thing that I tell people to do, when you feel like you don't know what your gifts are or your talents are, I chose about 10 people, and I was strategic in who I chose. And I said, what do you think? What am I good at? If I had to say, if someone called you and said, what is LaKena good at? Because at that moment, I couldn't see my gifts. I couldn't see, God, what is all of this? Everything was kind of like, you know, in this storm, this whirlwind, and I couldn't see my way out. So I started calling on my sisters to say, remind me. And then calling on God, God, remind me who you created me to be, not what the world has said, not what this has said. Now I'm a divorcee and all this. God, who do you remind me who you created me to be? And during these exercises, people start LaKena, I have never seen you light up so much as when you're pouring into girls and women. I have never, you know, there's been times you've walked me through a Bible verse and I'm like, how did you get all of that out of that? So it just, all these things, and letting people remind me in this dark season. That's why I think we're stronger together. We need each other. Because sometimes we don't see our own blind spots, and we can be in the midst of just our own pain, that we need someone to remind us that, girl, get up and live. You have all these amazing talents, all these desires you still want to do. You don't have to be married to do them.
Exactly. Girl, that is so powerful. You said so much. Like, you said a mouthful. I just want to take a minute to unpack everything that you said, because sometimes we cannot see, you know, we can't see ourselves the way God sees us. And sometimes we don't even see ourselves the way now I'm not talking about just a friend of me. I'm talking about a true friend, right? Like the way a true friend sees us, or a mentor or a coach, or, you know, someone of authority. And so a lot of times we're struggling, and it's this internal conflict, and we have to, you know, remove the blinders. And sometimes we need a little help. We need somebody to say, girl, I remember one time I was talking to one of my friends, and I was just feeling so unaccomplished. Like, oh my gosh, like woe is me. Like, I'm not doing anything. It was just the way she looked up. She's like, girl, you got by 10 degrees. You done did everything under the sun. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she had to really like knock some sense into me, because I was feeling like, oh my God, like I didn't do, you know, because sometimes we can set a goal for ourselves, and when we don't reach that particular goal, we let everything just fall to the wayside. We make it seem as if we've never done anything. And so sometimes it does take that. Like, it takes somebody to say, girl, get up. And let's live, you know. And so that's very powerful. And I'm glad that you were able to have those people in your life to help you navigate through that. Even that coach, shout out to that coach who's like, try this, you know, because we will do that. I don't like that. Have you done it? No, I just know I don't like that. I don't. That's not my. Or people say that's not my thing.
That's not my thing.
And it's like, have you like I tell people all the time, so when I was on this whole singles journey, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna date myself, and in this season it was all about me really figuring out what I like. Because sometimes people, you know, when you start dating somebody, or you start, you know, being in a relationship with somebody, and the person's like, oh, you kind of, so at some point, if you don't know your identity, or you don't know who you are, you start to blend. And the person will say, okay, we're going to go eat this type of food. And even though you might not necessarily like it, but you learn to just, oh yeah, And so I started doing this thing where I would go to restaurants by myself, and I would do different, like, things that I wanted to try. I would just go and do it. And I would sit, like, I remember sitting at restaurants, and I would go to some of the top high-end restaurants, like, and they'd be like, "Oh, is somebody joining you?" Nope, just me. And I would order whatever I want, and I would have these experiences. And I remember one time I took a trip. But the first time I took a trip by myself, I went to Jamaica. I was like, Gigi's getting her groove back.
That's right.
And people thought I was crazy. They were like, "You're gonna go to another country?" And I said that was the best trip because I discovered a lot of things about myself. I had been traveling with people for so long that I just went along with. It took me that trip to realize I don't want to be doing all that walking around y'all doing. Like, day 1, I want to rest. Day 7, I want to rest. Like, if I'm there for a week, like my first day and my last, like, I don't want to be doing all this going around and the sightseeing. And I want to lay down and just relax. I want to go to a spa. I want to visit a museum. I want to do different things. I'm not trying to go, it allowed me to be free in my decision-making process so that I could do things that I genuinely love to do. And people say, "What did you do?" And I'm like, I met other people. Like
that's the thing. Yeah.
I had conversations. Like, I wasn't glued to my phone, and I didn't have to argue about where I'm going or what I'm doing, because I could just do it, without any inhibitions. And so I always tell people, if you've never traveled alone, it's like you haven't lived. You have not, like, until you've gone somewhere by yourself, take a weekend trip or whatever. I'm not saying you got to go to Jamaica by yourself, because I would agree it's a lot more fun with friends. But let me tell you, I have fun all by myself.
You a whole vibe. I'm a whole vibe. We can do that.
I'm a whole vibe. Like, I don't, I love y'all. Don't get me wrong. I love my friends. I love community. I love traveling with other people. But I don't need you to like understand that I will pack my bags and get on a plane and go. And so when you say that to me, like, girl, get up, that embodies like me as a person, because I'm gonna do it. People know, like, one thing about Gigi is she gonna go. Her bags be packed.
Yeah, that's good. That's so good.
That is awesome. So I mean, I want to kind of unpack for the audience, like, there are different women who might be going through similar situations, whether it may not always be divorce, it might be something else, it might be children leaving the home or whatever. But what would you tell them? Like, what's your advice to that person to encourage them that they still have a life to live? There's still room for them to do those things that they once desired.
So I'm gonna answer that two different ways. So I live my life from a biblical Christ-centered viewpoint and just focus. And so number one, I always tell women that go back to the source. Number one, you were born on purpose, with purpose, and for a purpose. Even if you were a surprise to your parents, you weren't a surprise to God. So I would say, go back to the source and say, God, again, help me, remind me who you created me to be. Because often, just as women, and just sometimes even with the media bombardment of what we get about who we are supposed to be, or what we are supposed to do, or how we're supposed to show up in the world, and what our bodies are supposed to look like, and what all of these things, we often can, and the enemy will use those things to help us to say, if I can get her to believe she has nothing left to give, oh, I've just robbed her of her purpose, but also everyone who she is attached to, who she's supposed to help bring out. Now I've got them too. So I always go back. I'm big on identity. And anytime in my group, we go back and we are going to get in from who did God say you are? God says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God says that he will complete the thing, that his purpose in you into the day of his return, that you are the head and not the tail, that you are, blessed and highly favored, that you're his child, you're the apple of his eye. So I will, sometimes people are like, you be preaching, and just, I'm like, no, because I understand that as a man thinks, as a woman thinks, so she is. And so I have there's been times in my life when I was molested as a young girl, and that just the darkness of the thoughts and that I wanted to take my own life. And I had, Christian grandparents and people who just say, who are you? We are going to help you to rewrite and, to make those grooves like in a record. Every time you play it, it gets a little bit deeper. You need to know who you are in Christ, not who they said, or not what your mistake is, or not what your failure is. And then you had to turn around those and, okay, it wasn't good. It didn't feel good. But even in the midst of it, I can find good to catapult me to where I want to be. So I always tell women, you have to, when you get in that negative, I call it like rumination of the bad thing or the hard thing, I tell them stop. And so one action step, I say, you have a girlfriend or someone that you can say, you have a catchphrase that you text them, and it might be baloney, whatever it is. But in that moment, that person knows they need to call you with a joke. They need to call you with something. They need to call you and say, girl, you tripping? Let's go back and just remind ourselves and remind you of all the amazing things that you have done and how amazing God has made you. So I always say, I call them a battle buddy. Have a battle buddy who you can tap into to say, today is a hard day and I just need a little bit more. And because I really, I believe that God created us for community. We are not meant to do life alone. And yes, we have the best gift in Holy Spirit, but sometimes we still need that physical person to try to help us. So I always say, you got to work on your mindset. What are you allowing the outside noise to say about you? And another thing is I'm big on, if I should have stock in mirror markers and Post-it notes, because I will write different, like, I am blessed, I am more than enough. And I write them on my mirrors in my bathroom. And every time I pass it, I have to say it out loud, because I am reminding myself, I am, just like faith comes by hearing, you need to hear yourself say who you are. And so then I also put them on sticky notes. They're everywhere. Then even now I have a 10-year-old, he'll like, oh, mom, you walked past that sticky note and you didn't say it. And so, it's just really, we have to find, their games. Life, I always say life is like the game of life. And we have to find what's going to help us to win. We're already going to win, but we have to make sure that we let the enemy who's trying to come after, we winning. And whatever tools I need to do to win. So women going through a hard time, know that don't put a period where God's put a comma. Because it's not the end. I just did a TikTok about this season. If you think about it, we've all gone through hard things, but if we think it didn't last, so we can remind ourselves, like the children of Israel, when they took those stones, when they crossed the Jordan River, they took the stones to remind them of what God did. That's the same thing we need to do in our life. That when we get in those hard times, let me pick up this rock. This rock reminded me that when I went through X, it all worked out. So why am I tripping? Girl, get up and live.
Girl, I'm tripping, girl. I hope you guys are feeling what she's putting down. If you're in the chat, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about what LaKena just said, because she just gave y'all some gems of life for you to get up and live. That is so powerful, because I think oftentimes, we get stuck. And sometimes I think what it is, and everything works for different people. Like, I'm big on affirmations. Like, I am big on speaking life into a situation, and just, and I'm a very, I listen to different affirmation, sounds, and like, even when I'm at work sometimes, like just last night, actually, I was at work and the thing started playing, and like all my coworkers looking at it, and it's like, and they're like, girl, like, because it's like, my beauty radiates from the inside out, and the universe, favors me, and it, like the thing starts playing, everybody look at me like, this girl. And I'm like, well, at least y'all know, like, this is what fuels me. Like, people always ask me, how you come up in here so bubbly? You always just so happy. You always got a smile. And I'm like, I have to fuel myself. I have to feed myself. It's almost like food, like for the soul, like, because just like you wake up and you eat your breakfast, you eat your lunch, you eat your dinner. And I tell people, like, building confidence and, just having that mindset is work. Like, you actually have to, girl, get up, and you actually have to do something. Like, you have to feed yourself those things. Like, I don't just wake up and I'm just so confident. Well, la la la. I face the same, setbacks that any woman might. I deal with the same insecurities that any woman would deal with. The only difference between me and that woman that's decided not to get up and live and myself is that I know how to get up. Right. So let's talk about the how. Let's talk about, because I know somebody might be listening and they may be going through something, or they may be battling insecurity, and they're thinking like, I don't, I know people who would never, come on a live, on a camera, just because they're so insecure about the way that they look. And now, mind you, to the eye, like, you're gorgeous. What are you talking about? And so let's talk about the how. How do we, what are some, I guess I could say, like, rituals or routines that we can tell women to do in order to give them that extra stride to get up and live?
Sure. So something you said is actually one of them. So how you say, you're big in affirmations and really setting the atmosphere. I say the atmosphere, the garden of your mind is how I like to say it. And one thing, and I thought I was going to go into psychology long time ago, but I loved to study, but I ended up going in special education. So still studying how the brain works. And one thing that I know is that it's powerful to hear it from someone else's voice. It is 10 times more powerful when you hear it in your own voice. So if I was to pick this up, you would hear 3 playlists that I have in my phone that I listen to. I'm not going to say every day, because there's days I don't, but it's they're affirmations or biblical truths about myself that I have recorded on my phone, and I listen to them as I'm driving or in my car, because as our brains don't know the difference between a truth and a lie. We will, if someone says enough that you can't do it, you will start
to believe it.
So we have to be conscious that that's how it works. So why not be proactive and wake up in the morning and start feeding myself what I can do and who I am. And so that's why I'm big on, like, if you can just do it in your voice.
Listen, I thought, like, people be thinking I just love myself, listen, this is like, you heard it here, right? This is so true. Like, I will record, and even if you go through, like, my Facebook, like, it's my voiceover. Like, if I'm flashing through my pictures or whatever, it's me saying, I can change my narrative, and I can, it's my voice. And well, first, I feel like my voice is cute. I love my voice.
That's right.
And I just felt like sometimes people don't say it how I want it said. So I started doing this a while back, and I'm like, I know people be thinking like, this girl, here she go again. But, but for whoever it does inspire, for whoever, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, I love that. Like, and they'll play it, because I done did the homework for you. I done put together the affirmations for you. All you got to do is hit play, swap my pictures out if you need to. I'm okay with that. But I'm so glad you said that. So ladies, listen, like, girl, I need you guys to really take a hold onto this information, because this is how you're going to get yourself out of that place, right? If it's insecurity, if it's a funk, if it's just, a midlife crisis, whatever it is, like, listening to positive affirmations, recording that affirmation, hearing it in your own voice 10 times more, it's going to help you get up and live. I love that. Let's keep going.
One other one I have is, actually, I have to say it's for my coach. She's an amazing pastor out of Arkansas, Sean Strickland. And she had us it was called the Mirror Challenge.
Okay.
And when I started, I was like, Pastor Sean, I don't know about this. But it was for those women who say there's something about their body that they aren't happy with. Okay. Or that they aren't, like you said earlier, they won't show up on camera because of whatever lie that they have believed. Let me just tell you, you are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Period.
You are beautiful. You are all that and a bag of chips. And if you don't believe it, why should anyone else believe it? Mm-hmm. I'm bad all by myself.
All by myself, girl.
And I've had to work on that.
Absolutely. Dip on the side.
Yeah. Right. So the mirror challenge is she would have us do this. And I don't remember, it was at least once a day. It might have been twice. Okay. But in a mirror, in our full glory, with nothing, just our full glory, she would lead us through thanking our bodies for, I thank you that, I was able to nurse 3 children. I thank you that my hips have carried me these 50 years. And you are saying how grateful and how beautiful, because there's someone's body didn't make it. It didn't make it. And so again, you're speaking life into yourself. Life and death is in the power of our tongue.
Yes.
Use it to speak life over yourself. And I'm going to tell you, that first day we were doing that mirror challenge, that mirror work, I was like, and now I get up in the morning, I'm like, hey, gorgeous.
Yes.
You are all that. And, and it's because, and you just carry this whole different confidence, this radiance, that now people who are going to step to you and who are going to try to chip away that confidence, like, no, I've done the work. And you're not going to take me back to have to do this work
at all. I get very listen, it's one thing, like and I tell people, and this is actually a chapter in my book. The title of my book is Beauty Beyond the Measurements. And I talk about, embracing us at every size. And I tell people all the time, I've been at my highest dress size, I've been a size 26. And at my lowest dress size, I've been a size 6. So I said, listen, I've been everything in between, and I've made every size look good.
That's right.
But I talk about protecting your confidence after you've done the work. You have, you put in the time, you put in the energy to affirm yourself, to do all these mirror exercises and whatnot. You want to protect that confidence at any cost. I don't let people. Words are infinite. Words have power. So I don't let people speak just like, lies. I don't let people speak lies or doubt or fear over me. Absolutely. So I'm very cognizant of, if somebody won't tell me, no, I'm not, and I learned this a long time ago, because if you let that word, right, if somebody say you ugly and you just let that, it just goes into the atmosphere and it's just there. And you didn't cut it, you didn't stop it, you didn't put a period, you didn't put a question, you have just unleashed something that now the enemy can use over you. And so a lot of times if somebody says something I don't like, especially if it's about me, honey, that I done worked on this body, like, you're not about to tell me nothing. You're not about to tell me nothing. And that's very important, ladies. Like, as we are working on building our self-esteem and building our confidence, it's very important that you protect it.
Absolutely.
Don't allow people to downplay you, to downgrade you. Don't allow I have a friend who always say, don't play in my face. Don't allow people to play in your face. Like, they don't deserve that. You don't deserve that.
Absolutely.
And so protect that energy, protect your confidence, because it's work to get there.
Absolutely. Work to get there. And as we're going in, I know, into this Thanksgiving season, here's one little tidbit I want to say, because I had some family members who were very proficient at trying to bring up the old LaKena and the things that the old LaKena used to do. And I had to, some of them are elders. So yes, I'm going to be respectful, but I'm also have learned, well, praise God, that might have been then, but this is who I am now. And I'm not going to argue with you. That might have been then, but let me tell you and reintroduce you to who God said LaKena is. Look, God says that I am his child. God said that I am, I can tread upon serpents and scorpions over all the power of the enemy. God says I am seated in Christ in heavenly places. That means those old things. So you
Are
really,
passed away.
they're passed away. And you really do, especially if we're getting ready to be around family. You can do it in a way that you don't have to be disrespectful, but you aren't allowing them to disrespect you.
Yes,
You have to
I agree
remember,
with that.
you are God's child. You
Yes.
don't deserve to be disrespected.
I can definitely just, families. And I'm constantly, and even now, like, I think the biggest thing for me that I deal with is the biggest question is always, you not married, you still single, you not, and I have to say, like, I am single and I am loving it and I'm living my best life. Okay. And so, but I can definitely identify how being around family, sometimes families just get out of line. And a lot of times it's things that's within themselves. They have not dealt with it. So they try to project that back onto you. And so I encourage you ladies, this Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday season, start affirming yourself from now. So that when you get around, like, there's a new air, because people can see your confidence. It radiates. Like, people can, when you're secure in who you are, when you have done the mirror work and you've done your affirmations and you are speaking over your body and your body is healthy and you're embracing everything about yourself, people can't touch that. Like, they know better. Like, they not about to be in your face talking about you done gained 5 pounds. Like, yeah, because listen, honey, you gonna wear that dress and you gonna wear it with your 5 pounds so well that all they can say to you is, "Oh, girl, you look good." Like, yes, it's my newfound confidence.
That's right. That looks good on you. That's right.
Confidence looks good on anybody. I'm telling you, I have gotten away with, I have a very, I like different. I don't want to say flashy, but I like different. I like glitter. If it glitters, I'm all about it. Like, the bigger, the better. Yes. And, sometimes with my friend, like, when we go shopping and stuff, they be like, "Oh my God, that is ugly." Like, and I say, "Okay, watch me pull this off." And sure enough, like, I'll buy the most just random. Sometimes it's hideous, but honey, when I put that thing on and I add a little confidence to it, I make everything look good. I'm like, yes. Like, and we have to learn to be like that with self. Like,
absolutely.
It's okay to be your own style, to be your own brand. I'm a brand all by myself. Like, I don't need anything else. I don't have to add the glitz and the glamour to make it. Like, I'm comfortable in a skin that is just me. And that's a level of work, right? It's a level of hard work to get there. But once you get there, protect it.
Absolutely.
Protect it at every cost.
Absolutely. So good. So good.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can't believe, like, we've just been chatting and chatting. I could talk to you all day. A woman after my own heart. But I want you to kind of leave our guests with some advice, of getting up and going out and living, like, what's something you want to leave them with that they can take on this journey?
So one thing an exercise that I so love doing, and when I was doing more coaching, what is living your best life? What does that mean to you? And more than just saying it, I want you to write it. And some people they choose to write it as a story, and in a very, like, a telenovela, whatever though they're called, they write it as a story. But what does your best life look like to you? Does it look like, that you can get up and, whatever? I don't even want to put anything out there, but what does your best life look like to you? And then one thing, once you have written that down, I want you to then say, I'm not stuck. God did not make me a tree. I can get up and I can move. And that's one thing that, we as women, sometimes we feel like we just get stuck and that we can't make different decisions. And sometimes all you need is one small step. And the reason I say you're not stuck, because if that mindset, like, oh, it's never going to get better. No, remember, power is life and death is in your tongue. So we have to make sure that what words are we speaking over ourselves. But then if we stay there, I have seen, unfortunately, women, the days turn to weeks, the weeks turn to years, and the years turn to decades. And they're wondering, how am I still here in this space? And you aren't stuck. You're not a tree. You're not a statue. Even if it is just one small step that you wake up different and do tomorrow, whatever in that list that you write and how you want your life to look like. If you want to, right now I'm learning how to do option trading, just because that was something I'm like, I want to learn how to do
that.
Yeah. So I'm, every day I do one small thing to learn how to do that. And we can't look at it as this big, I'm a big visionary, and I know God doesn't give me the whole picture because I'm probably going to get overwhelmed, but he just one step. What can I do today? What can you do today to move you one step closer to that life that you just wrote about, to that life that, and then every day read that life before you, first thing, you can read it in the morning, you can read it before you go to bed, and then say, okay, tomorrow, now set my intention. This is the life I want. What do I need to do when I wake up tomorrow? Or make sure that I call them non-negotiables. What are my non-negotiables that I need to do tomorrow that are going to take me forward to this? One example. If you know your current job is not paying you enough money, right? But you stay because, and I've been guilty of this. Oh, but it's the people. I have stayed on jobs for the people who I was over. And I'm thinking like, but I still have children to feed. I still have a life to live. If you know that job is not paying you enough, what's a small step that you can do tomorrow? Do you need to go have someone look at your resume and revamp it? Because maybe you are downplaying your own skills. Maybe you're not seeing how all these your brilliance is, you're not putting it on paper the way you need it to be put on paper. So maybe you need to find someone who can help you, revamp your resume. What is one small
Even sometimes just stepping out the box and looking.
Absolutely.
When was the last time you looked at the job market to say, and I'm so guilty of this because I think I had this conversation just this past week. I was speaking to somebody and I was like, oh my God, you get to do like your passion for your job? Like, how cool is that? And I was like, I want to do my passion for my job. And she was like, well, Gigi, have you looked?
Right.
I said, you're so right. I don't think I've looked to see that what I want to do is like I can get paid, to do what I love to do. And so absolutely, I agree with that.
And we just small steps. It doesn't have to be and consistent steps. And I can say, even with that, I enjoy what I do in my 9 to 5. But guess what? I think it's just become a habit now of mine. I check Indeed almost every day.
Oh, I do.
I check LinkedIn because I want to know, like, Lord, you're saying I can go from glory to glory and faith to faith. I believe that. You said I'm the head and not the tail. I like this job, but I still believe that there's something better out there that's going to move me in my life into the direction that I can be a bigger blessing to, when I find women who are in that place and I can help them. So, just small steps, and then be consistent in whatever it is. Even if it's confidence, every day, not letting one day go by that you don't get up and do the mirror work and you start and say, I'm going to do it for the first 3 days. And you're consistent in doing it. Now I'm going to do it for the next 3 days, and you're consistent. And it's amazing, just the growth you'll see in yourself, just like the plants. When you water it and it gets the sun and it gets the nutrients, we're that plant. We need to give ourselves the nutrients that we need. We need to make sure that we are loved, that we serve a God that loves us. He's not willing to just leave us in the state that we're in. And as we're doing that, I guarantee you, when you look back and say, it's been 6 months and I can see growth. And then you look back and say, oh, what? It's been a year and I'm, before. So yeah, it just start small and be consistency. Even if you think it's small, a small step forward is still moving forward.
Yes, I love that. Very well said. I couldn't have said that better myself, LaKena. You are on fire, girl.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for just coming on and sharing this little time with me. I swear these moments mean the world to me, where we get to have these conversations. And other women, I get messages all the time like, oh man, Gigi, the last episode, I really needed to hear that. Or somebody said something that really sat with me. And so
Mhm.
I truly, from the bottom of my heart, just appreciate your time and appreciate your words of wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you
How
for
can
having me. I
we
appreciate you.
how can we connect with you? I always like to
Sure.
definitely make the connection
Mhm,
between women, because
mhm,
I think it's very important that we remain connected.
mhm,
And, so where can we find you? How?
mhm. So you can go to girlgetupandlive.com and find me there. And then I'm on all social media platforms. I shouldn't say all because there's a few that I prefer not to use, but at LaKenaHorhn.com. And you're welcome to join our Facebook community, free Facebook community called Girl Get Up and Live, where we
I
do
love it.
Bible challenges and word studies. And, you know, we have action steps. If you haven't noticed, I'm big on action
And
steps.
action steps are good, because that's what works. That's what gets people to get up is to take action. So I love that. I
Yes.
love that. So definitely, ladies, if you're listening, connect with LaKena. Join the Girl Get Up and Live group, and connect with her. Just a wonderful soul. So I just thank you. I appreciate you for coming on, and hopefully we can do this again soon, because this was
Absolutely. I'd
this.
love to,
I
Gigi.
feel
It's
like
been
there's just so much
so
more
fun.
that we can dive into. Like, we got, you know, we are here. so so thank you so much, Confidence Tea lovers, for tuning in with me and LaKena, just to have this conversation. And we hope that this conversation was mind transforming for you, soul edifying, and confidence activating. And if you have not heard it today, I want to be the first to tell you, I love you. You
Mm.
are doing a great job. And I want you to know that you can change your story anytime you choose. You are the author of your story. So if you want to change that narrative, there's no reason you can't. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, have a good one.